All right, welcome to Thrive, the Feline Wellness Summit. My name is Scott Colby. I'm the host here. Our special guest today is Dr. Paola Zanabelli Davies, the holistic cat specialist. Paola, how are you? Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm fine. I'm good. Thank you. How are
Well,
you?
I am doing great. I know we're going to be talking about some stuff that I know is really relevant to me as a cat parent. So I know it's going to be relatable. So to a lot of the audience members, I'm super excited. Before we dive into the content, I want to tell people a little bit about you in case they don't know who you are. So Dr. Paola Zanabelli Davies is the founder of the Holistic Cat Specialist and is a psychologist trained in advanced feline behavior management, nutrition, and holistic care. Now, her mission is to help proactive cat parents expand their options beyond traditional vet care. And she does this by teaching a hands on approach to cat care that empowers cat guardians to use herbal remedies, nutraceuticals, great nutrition, and simple but useful home practices to uplevel their cat parenting skills. She has worked with cats and their human parents for about 10 years and offers one on one services and an affordable membership to help cat parents expand their options beyond traditional pet care. So, Paola, gosh, you have such an extensive background. I know you just work with felines. Once again, welcome. I think you're a perfect person to be interviewed for our summit. So, super excited to have you here. And I want to
Same
dive,
likewise.
yeah.
I'm really
And
excited to be here.
I want to just dive right in because we're talking about caring for our cats. And I know you talk a lot about cooperative care and a hands on approach. So, for those that are not familiar, what is cooperative care, just to start things off? And why do you believe it has the power to truly transform a cat's life and their relationship with their parent?
Sure. Okay. Now, this is a topic that is really, really close to my heart. And cooperative care is the definition of cooperative care is a training method that teaches animals to an extent, to willingly participate in medical procedures or other handling processes. And it is based on positive reinforcement. And it can be used to train your cats to actually accept supplements, drugs, or therapies that you might do at home with them without trauma. So, and it's important to say that it's good to avoid trauma in cats, but also in you as the cat parent, because when people struggle to get these supplements or these therapies into their cats and onto their cats, then they get really traumatized. And PTSD is real. They actually dread having to try that again. And they come to me desperate because they want to do something for their cats and they can't actually get the practical skills to actually get it in the cat. I mean, I'm sure you have seen the memes out there with people with the with the armor and the bodily armor, and and they're all ready to go because they have to peel the cat. So I laugh at the memes, but and I understand that when you start with this process, it seems maybe unattainable and it seems daunting, and you know um, definitely it's something that it's a fear that people have to put their hands in their cat's mouth. The teeth are sharp. They are also very sensitive animals, and they tend to sort of keep a grudge with us if we do something that they don't like us to do. So we don't want to ruin our relationship with them. So people really feel that this is a struggle, and it's the reason why it's so important is that this is the roadblock that they face, and the hurdle that they face when they have to give their cat the care that they deserve, and they can't.
Mhm.
So I address this to help them get in there.
Yeah, so important. And I remember you use the word trauma. My sister had a cat several years ago. The cat lived to 19, but this was about 10, 11 years ago. The cat had kidney disease the last couple years, and my sister was supposed to give the cat fluids, and it was very, very difficult for her to give her cat fluids. And she told me that she ended up, she would put the cat in the bathtub so it, didn't escape, I guess, and close the bathroom door. And she actually used the word, it was traumatic for the cat, and it was traumatic for my sister, because I
Yeah,
guess the cat was probably putting up a fight.
of course.
So in practice, what does cooperative care actually look like?
Okay, so yeah, what you just said now is very relevant to this, because there are times when you need to give a drug very quickly and very briefly, because you just need to give the cat a course of antibiotics, or when there is a confirmed infection, for example, or a course of a different medicine. That is, sometimes we need the drugs, and for certain things, traditional medicine is appropriate, and for other things, we do much better with holistic medicine. But when the time is short, people don't really worry too much. And even if they struggle, they know it's going to be a week. And they think, once I pass this week, I go past this week, is fine. However, when you look at the lifespan of a cat, and they get old and bodies break down and things happen, and to maintain that longevity and the quality of life, it's better if we actually succeed when we need to give them the support that they need, whether it is fluids or even doing an enema for your cat. That is one of the most advanced practices that I teach. But or, for example, if your cat has gone off food completely, and they are not a good candidate for a feeding tube, syringe feeding is an option. There are some veterinarians that don't like syringe feeding, for example, because they say that it causes food aversion. However, to be honest, food aversion can be caused by you putting food down in a plate and the cat associating that food with the fact that they're feeling nauseous, so they're not going to eat that food again, whether it is given via syringe or not. And to be honest, sometimes syringe feeding can save the life of your cat, because cats cannot stay without eating for over a number of hours. So yes, we can see how sometimes we need to give things for a longer time, and things like fluids, you want to keep it up. And if your cat obviously doesn't want to be part of it, it's going to be a real struggle. And this is unpleasant for all the parties involved, and very stressful. So the traditional approach is basically to build a positive association before giving your cat medication or practicing anything regarding handling of any kind. And this approach consists in choosing a usually the traditional approach chooses a work area that your cat likes, and you start using this work area to train your cat to come and associate these with something good. It can be a particular toy that they love, or a really, really high value treat. And then you start associating the equipment with this toy, and you can use a clicker. Or I find that because we are handling maybe equipment, and we are maybe we need to stroke a cat, because sometimes it's petting that is the reward. Some cats really like to be stroked under the chin, where the pheromone area is, and they have, every cat is unique and they have their own rewards. So because you're busy and sometimes it's difficult to use a clicker, you can use a sound that is always the same as much as possible. Any sound that you produce by clicking your tongue or something like that. You can even say yes, as long as you do it in a way that is consistent. And also because it has to come straight away. You have about 2 seconds to give that click and give the reward. So after you have created this positive association with this area and with the actions that you're doing without giving any medication, then you introduce, for example, giving the cat something. So, for example, a liquid, water or tuna water, or a creamy treat, which has been a godsend for everyone, because it's a great training device. And yes, so you go very gradually, and eventually they will associate also receiving the medication with the treat. Now, I don't necessarily choose a work area for this, because I feel that cats sometimes are laying already in their favorite area. It can be a bed, it can be a particular blanket, and sometimes having to get them to come to the area disturbs them and disrupts the process. And sometimes you make such a big deal out of this. So I just approach them where they are, and with the best attitude I can, I just deliver the medication or the supplement, and then I praise them really widely, and then we move on. I don't make a big deal out of it, and we move on. Of course, the skills are there to know how to touch them and what technique works for them, but this is pretty much what happens in this training. So
Yeah, awesome. And just this topic is so needed, because I think like most cat owners eventually get to the point where we might have to give them some medicine or some supplementation. And I just love that connection that you're building with your cat and reinforcing the praise and making them feel good. And just, it's a gradual process. It's not just shoving a pill down their throat. And I've learned from some of the other speakers that our demeanor can really affect our cat's demeanor. So if we're making a
massively.
big deal out of it and we're anxious going into it, they're going to be anxious, and it's going to be much more difficult to give them that medication.
Correct. In fact, I go by the team formula, which is an acronym that I love because the word team means that you're really building a team with your cat. Your cat has an understanding that you're trying to help, and you also develop an understanding on what works for your cat in particular, what they accept better, what they don't accept better. And yes, we all come from different backgrounds and we all start from different places. So there are cats that are more easy to handle, other cats that are less easy to handle because they are a bit more skittish in that regard. Some cats have been socialized really well when they were kittens, and other cats haven't. So of course there are differences, and in us as well, we come with different past, different experiences, different backgrounds. However, the team formula is really something that puts the main elements in a row, and every letter is a word that needs to be taken into account in this process. So the T stands for technique. You want to use, for every supplement that you need to give your cat, there is a technique that makes it easier. So I can tell you, some people need to give something that is bitter or that is very small. Some psychotropic medications, for example, come in a very, very small size. And if you don't do it in the right way, you might not, you might not see if your cat has actually eaten it and actually you have actually delivered the supplement or the medication. Or others are very bitter, and the cat salivates because they're absolutely disgusted by this. So, and we don't want that at all. So we want to create as positively as possible. We want to create a process that is well accepted. So it's also up to us to choose the technique that is the right technique for your cat, for yourself, also because people's mobility is different. So somebody that can kneel on the floor can do certain things. Other people that can't need to approach the cat differently. And also according to which supplement, the mobility, your mobility, how your cat accepts it, all these forms the technique part of the team formula. The E stands for equipment. This is another pillar of this because, to be honest, people don't understand until they try. And the last thing you want is that you are trying to do this positively and you're teaching your cat how to accept this very well. And you're on your way to this training, and you're doing well, and your syringe fails, or something in the equipment is wrong and it clogs or something, food goes splattered everywhere or it goes all over you. It can happen, by all means, to the best of us. But if you want to try and avoid this, you don't want to squirt your cat's face with food because your syringe was badly chosen. Or I remember a client, she was all set and she said, yes, I am ready to hydrate my cat via syringe. here is what I bought. And she gives me the picture of 100 milliliter syringe. And I'm like, you will not do this with 100 milliliter syringe. Look at the size of your cat's mouth. So this is part of the equipment. You have to choose the right equipment. And I have all the links. My brain stores links, food brands, everything in a very tidy manner. I have it all stored in here, and I can tell you where to get what always. And another thing is attitude. The A stands for attitude. That is super important. It's paramount. It's what you were talking about before. And basically, without attitude, without the right attitude, there is no way you can do this successfully, because honestly, your cat will pick up on everything, and it will pick up on your state of anxiety. If you're nervous, if you're fearful, if you're hesitant, this will be picked up by a very sensitive little being that relies on the senses to know if there is a prey available, or if he is the prey. Because in nature, cats stand in a very delicate position where they're both predators and prey, so they need to have these senses really, really sharp. They pick up on things, and you really want to check in with yourself before you enter this process, and really breathe and do whatever you need to do. Sometimes I tell my cat parents to take valerian, not just to give it to their cat, because cats love valerian. This is one of the best things you can ever give your cat, even just for fun. They love valerian. It smells terrible for us, but they love it. And so, yeah, and then I tell them to take it themselves, because if they are feeling nervous, they need to find a way to calm down before they start. And the last is M, stands for metrics. This is what happens after you have done whatever you need to do with your cats, with the handling that is involved. And it means that you have to write it down. You simply have to write down whatever you do. You don't have to write for 3 hours or journal for a day. You just have to write a few sentences, or the amount of food that you got in, or whatever is relevant to the action that you have carried out. Because people, a month down the line, they are depressed, they are upset that they are not getting where they need to go. And then I tell them, go and read the first pages of your journal, and they go, oh my goodness, I have made so much progress. So you always want to write. And also it's good to have the metrics down, because if you are doing these practices of the hands-on cat care at home, and you are measuring, for example, urinalysis, you're doing a home urinalysis yourself, and you have all your data, or you are performing another kind of test, or measuring blood pressure. There are lots of things that you can do at home. You really want to have a way to tell your vet what the test showed the month before, what the values were. You want to have it written down, because we can't remember everything. There is a lot that you need to remember with these things. So
awesome. Thanks for that breakdown. You talk about the respect framework and the steps to successful cat care. So can you break down this framework, and then what are these key steps, and how can us cat parents start incorporating them?
yeah, absolutely. The respect framework is basically a visual representation of all the important things in the human-cat relationship that we want to really make sure we observe. And it's an acronym again, and an acronym that I really like, because the word respect says it all. And it means that we approach it. It is obviously 7 words, but they are coupled and grouped, I should say, because the last 3 is not a couple. It's three different words, but they are basically grouped in 3 different areas. And the rhythm, which is the R of the respect framework, and the E is the environment. These 2 are part of the lifestyle. And we then have the species appropriate nutrition, which is the S, and the proactive care, which is all about herbal supplementation and therapies and all the natural stuff that we can use with our cats. And so these 2 are together in the area called wellness. And then we have the last 3 letters, which is they are the E, the C, and the T, of the word respect. So empathy, containment, and trust. And these are part of the connection area of this framework. So these three areas are basically approached in different ways according to where somebody is and what they are facing at the time. So for example, if somebody is pretty good with their cats, there's nothing major happening, but they sort of want to have a better relationship with their cats, I always start from the lifestyle. So you want to really get those foundations really really well done and well positioned, so that your cat has the environment that they need to thrive. And the use of time, which is the rhythm element, so all the rituals that you can incorporate in the relationship, and all the use of really the time. And for example, when you feed your cat, or things that you do every day, routines, things like that. So this is something that can be done in a way that is beneficial for both the human and the cat, because we share a space, we share a living environment. So this is the lifestyle, and this is where I start from if there is nothing else that is major and scary at the moment. However, if somebody is dealing with something else, for example, a behavioral problem, then the connection will be where we look first. So it'll be all about building the trust, and also understanding that training comes from asking and giving. So there's always a compromise, there is empathy, and it's all the things that you need to know about your cat that really make you understand where they're standing. But also the things about containment is that they're not just free to do exactly whatever they please everywhere in the house. You have the right to ask for something in return, because we are sharing an environment. So that is the part of compromise where you
they think they can do whatever they want.
Yeah, but you can put down some boundaries.
Right.
Boundaries, nice boundaries. But yeah, and you always want to have a compromise in place where you say a no somewhere, but you say a yes somewhere else, and you make sure that you give and you ask at the same time. And if somebody is dealing with a particular health issue, then I look at the wellness first of all. I look at all three, but in this case, for example, we look at nutrition and supplementation and proactive care first. So the three areas really overlap with each other, because, for example, if a cat has a behavioral problem, usually you look at, first of all, the relationship and what is happening, if there was an event. You also look at the stuff that happens through the day, every day. So the rhythm is there, and also what environment is available for this cat, and why is this cat experiencing this and expressing this behavior. Is there something that we need to change there to help with the last area? Or is there something from the nutrition and the wellness, from the wellness area, the nutrition or the proactive care, that we can add or change so that your cat feels better and is more likely to not express that behavior that is unwanted? Because, for example, good nutrition fuels the brain, and it helps produce those substances that make a cat feel calm and less fractious and less stressed. So you can see how everything is interconnected. And this is why I wanted to have a definition for this and a distinction, but then the three areas really overlap with each other. And we look at different things at different times as we go.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Great overview. And one of the things you mentioned was, setting boundaries. And there you have a furry friend right behind you.
Yeah, he's 8 kilos, and he's a big boy.
Yeah.
And so if he settles down here and he looks like he's falling, it's why.
What's his name?
His name is Honey, and he
Honey.
knows about 26 commands.
Oh my God.
He does the right paw, the left paw, the kisses, 1 kiss, 2 kisses, 3 kisses. It does the whole thing. It rolls on the floor. It's a circus. So
I love it. Yeah.
That's Honey.
One thing I love it. Yeah, one thing I've been doing with my new cats is if there's something I don't want them to do, I'll give them an alternative, which,
Yeah.
I think is not something I did with my previous cats. It was usually like scolding them or get down, but now I'm trying to like, okay, you can't do this, but you can do this, and give them just, that kind of freedom to choose like the other thing, which I think is important. I want to go through. I know you have these 5 phases of a health crisis or a challenge that parents can go through. So, can you walk us through these phases, and then share maybe some practical tips for navigating them? Because I know I've had some health crises with my cat, so I'd love to learn about this.
Yeah, sure. Basically, when things are rosy, and we tend to not think that actually something can actually happen that changes our life completely. And there are some cat parents out there, and I bet that a lot of people that listen to your material are these cat parents who are extremely caring for their cats, and their cats is their world, and they absolutely love their cats. And so when your cat gets sick and something happens, and sometimes it's an emergency that happens, your cat dictates pretty much your life, because you really want to provide the care, and you really want to be there for them. But at the same time, you still have a life that goes on. And a lot of people don't quite understand that if your cat is sick, you are not able to go to work maybe at the same time, or to be present at work like you are used to be. And because obviously there are a number of things that happen in an emergency where you are really pulled from different directions. And so these 5 phases start with the emergency and the troubleshooting phase. This is where, I'll describe them in a second. I'll tell you what they are first. So the
Okay.
emergency and troubleshooting phase is the first phase. And then we have the planning and adjusting phase that comes just after the emergency. The maintenance phase follows, and then we have the recovery phase, which is a really nice phase out of all, and the monitoring phase, which is also called the cruising phase, which is the best of all. I'm just going to take a sip of my healthy. This is like there is vinegar in here. Nobody borrows this. Nobody likes it, but I love it. So. So yes, the emergency and troubleshooting phase. This is when the crisis has just happened, basically has just occurred, like a sudden illness, or maybe there is an injury, or there are symptoms that are alarming in some way or form. And cat parents usually feel, the caring cat parents that are just slapped in the face by this, they usually feel very overwhelmed, and they tend to panic. And also they are not sure where to turn for help, and they need help right now. And they usually end up googling things, which is
Mhm.
great. We have Google is amazing, but and YouTube, of course. But unfortunately, it gives you a huge amount of different informations and points of view. And when you are in an emergency and you need to know what to do now, this can feel really, really overwhelming. And usually they go to the vet, and they are offered the tools that obviously traditional medicine has to offer, because everybody has a toolbox, and the traditional medicine has the drugs and the diagnostics and the examinations that they can use to produce a treatment. And so sometimes is what is needed at this time, and sometimes is not all that is needed. So some cat parents go away without the real answers the answers that they want, and they feel that they are producing decisions in a reactive way. just to stop that crisis that has happened. And obviously, this is a challenge for everyone, because also for the cat in question, because the cat is feeling at this point very stressed, and there is discomfort for sure, depending on what's happening. But there is a problem there. And obviously, they need urgent help, but they are sometimes not understood. There is no sometimes there isn't enough clarity about what's happening. So it's a really messy phase, and it's a phase where people panic. And I do offer support through all the phases. So cat parents come to me at different times, but they tend to come to me in this phase mostly, and they need a solution right now,
Yeah.
and they need to peel the cat right now, and they need to and really I need to put them in a condition to actually pick their cat back up. They need to go to the vet for emergencies if it is a life-threatening situation. There are symptoms that are worrisome, but then the vet eventually hands this cat back to the cat parent, and the cat parent potentially has a cat that maybe is not eating properly, doesn't want to eat, they're not sure what to do when the medication is vomited up. And so there are a number of situations where they are panicking, and they need the support to navigate this very messy phase. So I do offer support, and they are very grateful. Apparently, I offer training, and I offer check-ins depending on which service they are on. But they tell me that they really value the emotional support, and the
Mhm.
fact that I have training in psychology, they say that is really good, because I keep them grounded. And sometimes
Mm.
I receive messages at 3 in the morning when they are panicking, and sometimes I'm awake at 3 in the morning, and if I catch the message, sometimes I have answered, to sort of help them through the crisis. If I'm sleeping, of course, I'm sleeping, but I answer the next day. But yes, they do need those resources, but also that support, that emotional support, because a lot of people don't understand. I mean, it's just a cat, for a lot of people, it's just a cat, but for you, it's your world. So
Mm.
yes, it's very messy. So at the point where we go into, I mean, some cat parents feel really paralyzed at this point, and it's difficult. But you can then evolve into the planning and adjusting phase, where after the immediate crisis has happened and has passed or is happening, but it's now taken care of, whether your cat is hospitalized or you have gotten the immediate care that you need. The cat parents usually start thinking about what the underlying causes are, and what they have done wrong, or what potentially they can do to make this better. So they try to navigate maybe the food options, or medications, or holistic alternatives, and maybe lifestyle changes and things like that. So this brings them to a higher state of overwhelm, because obviously they start to want to do everything.
Mhm.
And it is about adjusting. I mean, the cat has to adjust to new routines, of course, and maybe dietary changes, and they start to have to deal with things like changing food, which is another headache on its own, because
Mhm.
you have been there probably. If you change, it's not always easy to transition a cat to different foods.
Uh-huh.
So depending, especially if you go healthier, so obviously. And I have created a mini course for cat parents to which is a mini course on food transition particularly, and assisted feeding, to help them exactly here. So when they are basically starting to want to change things, and they are defeated day by day, day in, day out, and they don't know what to do, because this cat will only eat the kibble and they are just
Mhm.
pulling their hair out. So things like that. So at this point, we need to work through those things that are the most important, just so that we can make some steps forward, and they can get to then the other phase. So we obviously look at also support in this phase, because sometimes some supplements at this point are really making a difference to get your cat from really feeling poorly to start to pick up and feel a little bit better. or support while your cat is feeling a little bit down, and you are now able to support hydration and feeding because you have the skills to, for example, give him food through small amounts of the blend that you prepare. And I teach my cat parents how to do all these things, of course, and then you can give them the fluids that they need and other things that they need desperately at this point. And then you hit the maintenance phase. The maintenance phase starts to be nicer because that's when the cat condition stabilizes, and the focus to it shifts more to managing the condition and over a longer period of time. And by then you have gone through so much mess and upset and trauma and vet visit, and of course at this point you might be financially a bit depleted, because usually when people have gone for diagnostics at the vet, or tests, or well, diagnostics or treatments or drugs, etc., so at this point they might start to feel financially pressured, but also they are also starting to feel that there can be a routine, a care routine that can be put in place. So this is where we look at the routines. We need to look at how to avoid new flare-ups if this was an acute say phase of something that was underlying there. And so this is where we look mainly at how to go day by day, basically, with the right routines, introducing the right supplements, maybe tweaking things, and making sure that they are able to maintain the cat being fairly well and not fall into another issue. And obviously at this point, usually cat parents are worried that this can happen again, and usually they are hypersensitive to all the changes and all the things and all the looks and all the expressions. And like, my cat was loafing doesn't mean that he's unwell. And
Yeah.
so
I understand that completely. Yeah, I'm kind of that way. Yeah.
it's hard, and if you have had a cat that has been say vomiting, and I mean it's the stuff of nightmares for me, to hear that sound when they are unwell, not when they vomit occasionally. And it can happen, everybody can be upset occasionally, but when a cat is, for example, with pancreatitis, if a cat starts not eating and then they start vomiting, and it's something that recurs, and you really want to get your cat to a better state, and then after a few days you hear that sound again, everything comes back. It's like the trauma response comes back, and literally you hold your breath thinking, I'm hoping that this is just, maybe I didn't hear right, and it's not just going to start again. Because yes, it's very stressful. So, but then you're very lucky when you get to the recovery phase, because in the recovery phase, basically your cat is starting to heal, all the signs are good, the health improves, maybe you can get some diagnostics done, and you can see that the supplements are working, and maybe you can see that you can see what works and what's best, and maybe your cat has started to eat better and it looks great. And so this is when you start to focus on rebuilding the strength and the confidence, and getting your cat to be even better. However, there is always the emotional stress of, is this really over?
Right.
Obviously, because and usually at this point we need to really regain trust that you can sort of, it's difficult to let go of certain practices as well when you are not sure. So if a cat was, say, sensitive to a certain food, the moment when you reintroduce that food usually gets people very nervous, because they say, oh my God, I don't want this food to cause another flare, and I don't want to get there again. Maybe I should wait another week. And I can see the hesitation at this stage, where it's still there, it's still looming in the background. But your cat at this point is doing really well, and it's a recovery. You can see that he's in recovery mostly, and the symptoms are basically not there. And then we have the last phase, which is the monitoring phase. It's also causing the cruising phase, which is also a phase that people are generally in when they have never had a problem with their cats, and they're just enjoying the relationship with their cats, and everything is fine, and the cat is happy, and they're providing the play and the activities and the food that the cat needs, and the cat is coming back with purrs and licks and affection
Mm,
and happiness. So this is the phase where you really want to just keep an ongoing observation, keep those parameters going, and make sure that you have the wits to know when your cat, for example, is telling you that he's not well, that you know that, for example, vomiting is not normal. And for cats, you shouldn't actually walk on vomit every day just because you have cats, for example. So just being aware of those signs. There are signs of pain, for example, that you can pick up. They're very subtle because cats, again, in nature, they don't want to show that they are in pain because they need to maintain a status where if they show that they're in pain, they become a prey very easily. So they need to show that they are okay. So they tend to hide those signs. But if we know what to look for, then during these phases when we just monitor them, look at them, get to know them. So because some things are normal for certain cats and are not for others, and this is when you get to know your cat really well, so that when something is not right, you will see it and you will spot it. So pretty much these are the five phases,
mm.
and there is support for all the cat parents in all these phases. We just need to address what is most important at the time. So
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for that overview. Yeah. And like I mentioned, I've been there a couple times. Most recently, just New Year's Eve, one of my new cats, it seemed like he was having some urinary issues, like in and out of the litter box, like multiple times a night. I'm thinking like, and it's a male cat. I'm like, gosh, do
yeah.
I need to take him to the ER? And I emailed my vet and she got back to me, it's New Year's Eve night. And, and then I'm like, gosh, do I play it safe and take him to the ER and let me sleep on it? And I ended up taking him to the ER the next morning. He's okay now, but like you said, it can be traumatic here. And now I'm like, every time he's in the litter box, I'm like, all right, what's going on here? And like, is he
Oh,
okay? He's digging around in there, and it could
have
be
you
it
peed?
could be traumatizing. Yeah,
Have you peed?
yeah.
I've been there with the urinary tract issues, and my cat would go in the litter box. I would literally ask him, "Can you please pee? Have you peed?"
Mm,
And I, that some people, like a lot of people, they install cameras to check
yeah.
if the cat is pee, and
Oh.
is not. Oh well, your OCD.
Hmm.
This can be a real emergency. You
Hmm.
can't not know if your cat has peed, and after 2 days you realize, oh, he hasn't peed for 2 days. So obviously you need to know. And if you go to work, how are you going to monitor? So obviously, that's when some conditions really upheaval your life, because
Right.
as a responsible carer and cat parent, you really want to make sure that you put in place the care, and sometimes you need to put in place devices and resources, because these cats cannot be left for many hours without monitoring and without care, really. So yeah, it's tricky. It's really
Yeah.
tricky.
Yeah, I need more of you in my life, basically. But I want to wrap up here. I know you have some a YouTube channel, a website with some resources. So I wanted to give you the opportunity to share your website, your YouTube channel, any social media accounts that you want to share with us, so we can continue to connect with you and learn from you.
Sure. So my YouTube channel is the Holistic Cat Specialist. You can just Google, go on YouTube and check on the search bar, the Holistic Cat Specialist, and these are the videos that I have produced so far. And as soon as I have a new topic or a new question, usually then I make a video on the topic over there. So there is a lot of free help there. That also there are lots of resources linked to different videos. So if you look around and you sort of browse around, you always find in the description links that take you to different places. And and then my website is theholisticspecialist.com. Again, same name, easy to find. And I also have something special for your audience, for your people as well. So
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing. I'll make sure that we share your website, your socials, and your free resources. And I know you're going to be offering some discounts as well. So we'll get that to everybody
Yes,
who's watching this.
sorry. In fact, as a socials, I am not on all the platform.
Sure.
I am on Facebook, and I am in the DMs in Facebook. If you want to DM me, you can always DM me. You find me either under Paola Zanibelli Davis. I know it's a bit of a handful, but I have heritage in Italian heritage, so you might have picked up by my accent a little bit. But yes, you can find me there. You can find me under the Holistic Cat Specialist on Facebook as well, because I have my page there. I have a free group that you can find through my profile, and you can also join my free group over there. And yeah, if you want, I'm offering you some special 50% discount in the description below this video, I think somewhere. It's described. So have a look in there, because if you want to get on board and try some of the things that I offer, there is a lovely 50% discount for you, and there is a free guide on helping your cat live longer in 5 simple steps. So if you want to download a free guide to help you with that, it's all in the link below.
Awesome. I'll make sure to get that to everybody. I've got the free guide. It's really, really good. So, Paola, I wanted to acknowledge you for the work that you're doing to make cats' lives better and us cat parents' lives a lot better. This interview was so valuable. So thank you for the work that you're doing and for carving out some time today for this interview. I really appreciate you.
No, thank you for having me. It was such a pleasure to be here with you, and I love your YouTube channel, and you're doing such good work yourself. So thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Everybody watching, thank you for tuning into this session, and we will see you next time. Bye, everybody.